Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. It's good to be here. It's good to be seen. And more importantly than being seen, it's good to be heard. Thank you for checking out this 177th episode of the Political Spotlight. I, of course, am your host. Producer Kate is down in the duck doing the producer duties, pressing the buttons, making me seem mediumly more smart than I already am, or not nearly as much as I am. We'll figure that one out. You figure that one out on your own. We'll see what happens when she ducks out of the show for a moment. We'll see if the intelligence level drops or what happens. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Being heard is wonderful. Being listened to is yes. Very, very good there, Alva. I think that might be the quote we'll go with for tonight. Look, I've already killed the quote of the episode idea because I didn't pick one. I was going to find some quote from a stripper because the title for tonight's show was going to be Workin the Polls with contributing what? Who is she? What is she? What's the title of the show? 177, Workin the Polls with contributing correspondent Dr. Katherine Callahan. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me fill you in on a little bit of dirty dirt. Okay? Let me, hold on. Speaking of the devil, give me 1 second here. Okay. So, let me just tell you, for those of you that have listened in the past to Rush Limbaugh, you will know that Rush and a lot of his listeners often referred to him as the benevolent dictator. And I will explain to you here that I am not so benevolent. And this is why working with Kate, like Kate and I have known each other for like 200 years. So like she knows my stupidity. She knows like what I'm going to do. She knows what I'm thinking 90% of the time, about 30 seconds before I think it. She knows what I'm doing. As you will notice on the show, a lot of times I'll say, hey, I'm getting ready to pull this up. And she'll already have it pulled up. I'll say, hey, Kate, could you? And she'll be like, I'm already working on it. Like, if you notice, that's like what a good producer is supposed to do. Like, she knows me and she knows where I'm thinking and where I'm going and what's happening. I'm cool with that. Brandon, hell, he is go along with the get along. Like, I could throw that guy in a pool of diamonds. I could throw him in a pool of lava fire. And he's like, okay, cool. I'll hang out here. He is running on, he's got like ice in his veins. All right. But throughout my time as a broadcaster, I have attempted other various like co-hosts and other various people. And it's just hard to work with people like that because I'm like, why aren't these people functioning with me like Kate? Like, don't they know right where I was going? Or that you can't just say like, whatever. So the good doctor for some time now has wanted to schedule like a specific night of the week to come on. Like Wednesdays will be the Madison County night. Thursdays will be national politics night. Well, I can't really do that because The second that I assign Tuesdays are going to be the Henry County night, well, guess what? Nothing's going to happen for a week leading up to Tuesday in Henry County, and I'm not going to have anything to talk about. Or I'm going to spend a whole night talking about Henry County on Tuesday because I had something to talk about. And we're going to go into Wednesday then, which is supposed to be Madison County night. And bam, Sproles does something right crazy first thing in the morning Tuesday, and we've got to talk about it. Or Ridenauer has 4 people quit, and we've got to talk about it. Things like that is bad. Kate says, if you try to schedule nights, the shit will hit the fan and throw it all to hell. And that's very true. And that, my friends, is why I don't do static videos. See, listen, this is not a regular YouTube channel. Most YouTube channels grow quickly in numbers of subscribers, but the hours watched and the view times suck. Because what happens is you'll have content creators who will make a bunch of videos and then chop those down into 10 or 15-minute little videos, and they can upload them and they can just drop whenever, and it doesn't matter when they are. And so you will get large amount of people to subscribe. You'll have, 30,000 subscribers here, there. But if you go back and you watch their hours watched, or the ratio of how long a viewer stays on a channel, you might have a 10 or 15 or 20-minute show, but 80% of the audience is only watching 3 minutes, the first 3 minutes, and then they're clicking off. And I can specifically say that this happened, and I'm going to throw some shade here. And it's not just because I'm trying to be a dick or whatever, but I'm just telling it how it is. I specifically remember that Josh Kimbrell had a video one time, specifically, kind of ironically now, where he and Louis Galligan was going down to a house to confront Dylan Maccabee, or whatever his name is, about being a pedophile. That's the pot calling the pot. That's the pot calling the kettle a pot, and a pot all next to the black row of other pots. It's like insane what was happening there. But I remember the video was like 40 minutes long. And the first 20 minutes of the video was literally a camera on a tripod pointing to a tree and a white GMC Jimmy vehicle. And it was a really windy day, and the wind was whipping that tree back and forth. And there was literally nothing happening for 25 minutes on this video. 25 minutes of just and nothing happened. And then at about the 29-minute mark, you can all of a sudden hear Josh start walking towards the camera yelling, and he turns the camera around, and there are police and there are people there. And then from like 29 to 40, stuff happens. And this happened like the day before or the day after our big breakup. And so for just a few minutes, I still had access to the channel. And I watched Josh upload this video. And I watched quickly as it had like 15,000 views. And I was like, God, that's insane. I cannot believe 15,000 people watched this video for 20 minutes of the wind blowing. And then I don't even know why I did it, but I clicked on the analytics because I generally don't do that. And I laughed, and I wasn't like making fun. It dawned on me. Of this 45-minute long video that was put out that had 15,000 views, some like 89% of those 15,000 people watched 3 or less minutes of that video. They watched 3 or less minutes of that video. And it broke it down, I believe, in there, and it let you see, like, it wasn't like the best 3 minutes. They watched 3 minutes of the wind blowing. Hi, Chester. This is my brother, Troy. So that just, it's really odd to me. But a lot of people say, why don't you release static videos? And the honest answer to that is, I like interacting with you people, first of all, and I love subscribers. And of course, we talk about subscribing and doing all of that thing. Matter of fact, hey, while we're here on YouTube, do all of these things. Do the YouTube thing down here. Smash the like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't. Ring the bell. Yada, yada, yada. Comment if you're live. Comment if you're on your own time. And share the show with everyone you know. That stuff really matters, and it does appreciate. It matters to us because it helps push us out further in the algorithm. But as far as I'm concerned, what I care about is those of you that are here right now, watching and commenting. Those that I know will watch tomorrow or whatever, and those people that get it. And the hours watched is what matters. That's what matters with sponsorships. That's what matters with everything. And time watched. The fact that I do a 2-hour video and 80% of you watch, an hour and 40 minutes of that 2-hour video, that's a big deal. So Catherine's like, we need to schedule this. This is just a Katherine rant. No problem with Katherine. Everything's fine with us. But Catherine's like, let's schedule it. And I was like, okay. And I was working hard on changing some stuff. I got some new chords. I'm so happy. Oh, I got some new chords for the microphones. I think that the chords was what was causing our audio dips. So I don't think that we're going to have that problem. Troy, I noticed that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. That's what I call value for value entertainment. Oh, Katherine can hear us. Damn. I didn't think Katherine could hear us. So I planned this wonderful show thinking the doctor would be here. We would hit live and I'd come on. I'd talk for like 2 minutes and we'd pull, the magnificent doctor up and we would talk and carry on. But no, she's nowhere to be found. She's driving around the county doing God knows what with God knows who. She's trying to cut in on my Rob Kindle time. Hey, Charlize, that's what matters. That's all that matters. It's not if you actually hear what I'm saying. It's that, don't do that, Katherine.
Now she's kissing ass.
Yeah, right.
Because she doesn't want us to say that we think that she's a raging bitch for being late. So this is complete and total bribery, Katherine.
Yes. Hey, Katherine, go pet the alligator. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry you were with Micah. You shared. Katherine goes into a room and shares my name where people like basically worship me. Well, I appreciate that, Katherine. They're like, oh God, somebody else is mentioning Bilbrey. No, I very much appreciate the doctor. And apparently, the doctor is going to be on here at some point in this evening. So we do have a doctor update at some point this evening. While we're waiting on the doctor, while we are waiting on the good doctor, I can tell you that we do have some things to talk about. You know, I've been talking this whole time, and I haven't even been on the comments. I'm sorry, guys. He's trying to make Troy's measly $1.99 look bad. No. I appreciate. I know, Charlize. That's what I thought. I saw it too. You got it. Listen. I appreciate my 199ers. Listen. I was in a band one time, and I have a song called 199. We'll leave it at that, but we'll leave it at there. But no, I very much appreciate my 199ers. You all make the world go round. So thank you. Every little bit counts, every little bit helps, but honestly, what matters to me is the people that are here, the people that watch night after night after night, and the people that share the show, and yada yada yada. So okay, well, because here's what happened. Earlier in the week, we had planned on Katherine coming on Wednesday. And then, like, on Tuesday, I was like, I really need to switch those nights around. Do you think that we could do Thursday instead? And she's like, oh, yeah, Wednesday's not going to work for me. I have something else going on. We can do Thursday, Friday, or any other day. And I was like, okay, well, why don't we do Thursday? Well, then this morning, I kind of felt bad because there were some things that have happened that I really wanted to talk about tonight. But basically what happened was, I promised Katherine the night. So I had something that I wanted to talk about today that was not Madison County oriented, but I promised Katherine the night. So I was like, I'll put it out of my mind and we'll talk about it on Friday. Because I told you guys I was going to do a show on Friday anyways. And now that Katherine's not here because something came up, I completely forgot what I needed to talk about. I do appreciate you, Jeff Walls. Yes, sir, I do. Always. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. And yes, E-Jack, it does, sir. Hello? You want me to order you a pizza? Doot, 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 doot. You want me to show you something else? I don't know if you actually saw this or not. Since we're... let me tell you what this is, ladies and gentlemen. This is essentially a show where we are basically killing time. I do have some things that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to ask you guys, don't go anywhere. Please hang around. Hang on, because we got some things that we're going to talk about. Some things that are important. But give me just 1 second, because there's something that I feel I want to show you guys something, but I want to make sure that, okay, it's not that one. So give me a moment. Nope, I did the wrong thing there. I'm off screen here real quick, so I'm gonna have to. I'm looking for something as we're off screen. So it wasn't that. I'm trying to think about when it would have been in time. Setting the standard. Okay, let's see. Was it this one? Nope, that one. Okay, that one's at the kitchen table. I'm doing this all for E-Jack just because he or she asked if that phone behind me worked. And there's something specifically that I feel like I need to show you. Okay, it's not that one. Okay. Strangers in the Bus. Let me see if it's this one. Oh, it might be this one. Hold on. It might very well be this one. Give me just a second here. Yep, it is. Yeah, yes, E-Jack. You wanted to know if that old-fashioned phone worked behind me. Look at this one. What about this one, E-Jack? This was from a show that I did when I was at my grandparents' house back. This was back in March. Let's look here.
Yes, yes.
What do you think of that?
And welcome.
Let's look.
I feel like I should be like introducing Masterpiece Theater. Here's what we'll do. Stand by 1 second. Sorry. Wait a minute. The phone's ringing?
Completely wrecked the house.
Yes.
Everywhere
yes.
I'm at, I've got old phones. I've got old phones. Here in just a little bit, I'm going to go outside and climb up a pole. And that, no, I've not had a haircut. Good Lord. Nope. Still no haircut. And look at this. We have literally wasted enough time. What was that thing in your hand with a cord on it? Yeah, right, Charlize. We've literally wasted enough time to where now, ding. Hey, look who we got. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh, is all I can say. Hey, I didn't know you were so famous.
Yeah, well, can you believe it?
I'm telling you, they all knew Kristopher Bilbrey. They were all about it. Micah wants you to call him, have him on the show. He wants to talk to you.
Yeah, I'd have yeah.
Yep. So, and then Kendall said, quit making them look bad.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if you know these people or not. I've met them for the first time tonight, but they all know who Kristopher Bilbrey was.
Yeah, I know who those people are. A couple of those people. Where were you at?
I'm at my home.
No, where were you? What were you doing?
Down on 45th and Meridian. They were hosting a Micah Beckwith little get together, gathering, talk, thing. Larry Savage said, "Why don't you come and meet some of these people?" And so I went with Larry, and he was the only congressperson there. Nobody else was there.
That's interesting.
I'm going to be honest. I have not paid a lot of attention to that race because, well, we all know the fight in Madison County.
Well, yeah.
I've been focused on that. But so it was down there. It was a good turnout. There were lots of people there.
About how many people do you think were there?
There's probably a good 75 or to 100. And
Yeah.
they were going to have it outside. And it rained, and you were packing all these people in that house, and it was packed.
Yeah. It. I don't know that it's going to stop raining.
Yeah, I mean it's a great day to be a duck.
Yeah. I got some pictures of some ducks from some people earlier. Very strange. Kate's actually in the duck right down below. So.
I sent you a couple things.
We can hear
a couple things that can we share?
Yeah, sure we
can.
Get
us in the mood. Okay. Now, everybody who's watching, I want you to understand that I was accused.
Hear that? You were what?
I was accused.
Okay.
Of not running a clean campaign. Okay. So all you viewers who have not been on my Facebook today, I want to play this reel, and hopefully there's going to be sound, and you can tell me what is not truthful about the campaign I'm running.
Let's play that, but before we do, first of all right, so there's a couple different ways to run a campaign. You can run an above board clean race. You can run a down and dirty dog race. Or you can kind of be, just kind of, in between, and what happens. And I didn't know about this.
Lackadaisical?
Maybe a little lackadaisical on what maybe your campaign people do. I'm trying to think if I feel that I don't think you've been dirty.
It's the music that I did with the reel that's the best part of it all.
Okay, all right. So that's what you're not going to get me kicked off of YouTube, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Where did you send this?
I sent it to you in Messenger.
Did you just send it right now?
No, I sent it while I was crazy driving, I thought. Yeah. I sent it's the first one that's 26 seconds.
What does the first page look like?
It looks like you're filling out it's an application.
Okay. All right. You sent it in the one to me and Kate?
Yeah.
Let me click on it here and I'll get it shared. I'll get it pulled up.
And then this will lead us into other things.
All
I think
right.
I'm running a truthful campaign.
By dirty dog, you mean outright lying about people?
Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah,
I'm asking
outright
you.
lying, being like well, no, I don't necessarily. I think that you can be telling the truth and still be running a dirty campaign. Not a dirty campaign, a mudslinging campaign.
The truth shall set us free.
Yeah. But I don't think if all you post is attacking or against the other person, that's where it comes from, though. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with that, because I'm not saying you've lied. I will not say that you've lied. I've not caught you in one lie, period. So I'm not saying that. I also want to say that, look, politics is a blood sport. It is full contact. If you can't handle it, stay on the porch. This is where the big dogs play. And now shouldn't be that way, but it is. I didn't create it that way. You didn't create it that way, but we're coming down to play in it. And if we don't want to be kicked in the teeth, and we don't want to be bruised and bleeding and bloody and beat up, we have to get serious and sometimes play with the big boys. And I don't have a problem with that. Here's the thing. This is where the toxic positivity comes from. People only want to talk about the positive. I do agree. A candidate shouldn't focus on their negatives of their person. They should focus on what they can do. But there comes a point where it is important for a candidate to say, look, I'm only telling you the truth. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because my opponent is not capable, will not, has not, does not, whatever, and I don't have a problem with that. So I don't have a problem with anything that you've done, but I wouldn't say it's a dirty campaign at all, but it's not. You've got down and you've fought and punched and been punched. And so I think it's just politics. So I don't have a problem with it.
I mean,
myself.
Everybody wants to know information. I mean,
yeah, no. Listen, I'm not casting any stones. I like the way that you do it, because that's the way that I do it. I feel that's the only way that you're going to get that information out there. I think that there are people, I'll put it to you like this. Jessica Piper in Delaware County is running a cutesy, clean little race, and I'm not going to say la da da. That's not truthful. That's not truthful. I'm sorry. And we're at a point in time where it's like, I don't want, you to pee down my back and tell me it's raining. I want the truth. You know what I mean? So I am all for it, and I don't have anything against you whatsoever. I love it. So I could see why people would say that, but I don't think you've lied. And if they don't like the way that you're running a campaign, you got to ask them what are they hiding from.
And here's the thing. I didn't feel it was fair for me to ask anybody to do it for me. Right?
Yep.
And I felt that true transparency has to come from me. It can't come
Yep.
from my team. Although my team is an amazing team. Cindy,
Yep.
Nicole, Bree,
Yep.
Kenny, all these, they are amazing. And they would do anything. They would do anything, right? But I felt like if I'm going to be totally transparent, I can't just ask people to do stuff and not be willing to put my own self on the line. These guys take
Yeah.
enough bullets. They don't need any more. My problem was I just could not wrap my head around why you wouldn't put your first name on your sign. They've got Superman signs going on.
Yeah.
Just has a
Yeah.
last name. Well, then I couldn't understand why you would change your name. But now I know.
Well, so let's watch this and see what happens here. I've got it pulled up.
Let's see what
and I'm-
Alvin Stumblefoot and those guys say about this. Joe Black.
Okay, let's see what we've got going here. Oh yes, this we're not going to be able to play the sound.
It's just a snippet.
It's copyrighted music. It won't. Let's see what'll happen. Let me hold on here a second. Let me get it to start. Let me get here. And well, here's all we'll do. This won't hurt us. If anything, in the end, we'll have to cut it out. So this is why you should watch live. Here we go. We're gonna pull this up here. And if anything, we'll have to cut it out at the end. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Although tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Oh no, you can't disguise. No, you can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Although tell me lies.
So tell me what we're looking at here as we go through this. I'm going to mute that and continue to play through this because it is hard to see. If you want to see this, go to Katherine's. I'll put it on my social media. Go to Katherine's wall. You can see it. But as this is going through this, tell the people what we're looking at here. And why don't you tell people why this matters?
So for those who've been following along for a majority of this, there's two forms that somebody has to submit when they're running for election. One is the nomination form, and then one's a financial disclosure form. On the nomination form, Todd put Todd Culp, but he signed it Robert Todd Culp. And then he did all the check marks. And I challenged that and I lost, even though Indiana Code said otherwise. But the financials that he turned in are all Robert Todd Culp. Well, what on earth is your name? Okay. He's saying nobody knows him. Then I show the voting record of where he has switched his name just this race. Like just suddenly he's switched his name. And then I show close to $1 million bankruptcy that he started in 2019 on a KOA. And then I show all his foreclosures. Now, back in 1993, and I didn't, at least, listen, I didn't post this part, but it might come out from somebody else. In 1993, he was charged with visiting a common nuisance. What is a common nuisance?
Well, it's generally, it can be one of two things, and it would be interesting to find this out. Generally, if you're given a charge, if you are criminally and formally charged with visiting a common nuisance, that, in my experience, is generally a location where narcotics are being sold.
So it's not a brothel house?
It could be. It could be. It could be. That's it. Basically, this is the situation. A common nuisance is a place where the law has determined that there is criminal activity going on, and you'll get one or two charges. If it's my place and that I'm dealing drugs out of, I can get maintaining a common nuisance, and if Katherine comes to it, she could get visiting a common nuisance. So you said he got visiting a common nuisance?
Yes, right. And then fast forward 7 years. That started kind of when he was at Purdue, which, okay, you're a kid. I'm all about, I mean, I get it. You're, whatever. then, although it better never be my girls, and if you're watching, that'll never be acceptable. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
So then, fast
Jesus.
forward 7 years, he gets a DUI and he gets charged with that stuff. And then it just escalates to foreclosures and bankruptcies and chapter 7s and chapter 13s. And my biggest problem, what started all of this, is that yesterday at my office, a concerned citizen walked into my office and they said, all those signs that are being put up in Pendleton? I said, yeah. They said Mellinger's behind all of that.
What are the signs that are being put up in Pendleton?
They're Culp signs.
Okay.
Yeah. And they said Sheriff Mellinger, the retired Sheriff Mellinger, is behind all of it. I'm thinking to myself, don't you think even though you're retired, you have an obligation? I mean, how do you think these people with his signs feel if they don't know this information? There were several people from Madison County at this thing tonight. They had no idea. They're all now following Christopher Bilbrey show. They're all now following my Facebook page. And they said, is this really you? Are you really the person with a beer cooler in the back? I said, yes. And guess what? Because you've recognized that and you've signed up on my Facebook page, you are the proud winner of a beer koozie. And so I gave out beer koozies.
You gave them you gave them the at this event
beer koozies.
Okay. That is amazing.
And the thing is at this point, I'm so disgusted with all of it that you just have to laugh and say, okay, well, let's just tell everybody what's going on. I mean, these people took taxpayer money, went and tried to do a state board of account review on me after I left the board.
Back up real quick. Look, you're not running for dog catcher. You're not running for like school board or I don't know. You're running for auditor, which deals with the county's money and keeping record of that. And so if you or your opponent have financial issues and problems in your personal life and in your past, these type of things are things that you would want to know about, or I would want to know about. And to hide these things away is a disservice. And it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but it is what it is.
And here's the thing. If he would have come out right out of the gate and just said, this is what my problems are, I'm all about it. I applaud you. I can vote for a person like that. Own it, embrace it, and move on. But that's not what's happening here. And people don't like my delivery. People don't.
I get so sick of hearing that.
Where are we going here? So now, we do this, and then it rolls us into the polls, right? I mean, so I'm trying to inform the public, and now they've got to win back the polls. So Russ came out with a resolution that he could now staff the polls with precinct committeemen, even if they're running challenged.
Yeah. So, and we covered this a little bit on a couple shows back when we talked about the public test and all of that. And so again, I want to say for the record, this is not something that just happens in Madison County. It can happen anywhere in the state of Indiana, and probably outside of the state of Indiana under different sets of laws and rules and yada, yada, yada. But essentially, basically what happens is in the state of Indiana, an election board that is of each county. So there are 92 election boards in Indiana because there are 92 counties. They can pass a resolution before the election that says that we just simply don't have enough people in our county willing to be poll workers. and we have to scrimp and find and search and whatever. And so in order to be able to fully staff our poll centers, our voting areas, we need to pass this resolution that allows us, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, essentially to staff people in these polling areas that might actually be up for election this year. Now, it can't be election for a state office, it can't be an election for a federal office, and it can't be an election for a county office. Like Katherine couldn't work in the polls. Richard Todd Culp, whatever his name is, could not work in the polls. Rich Rontwine couldn't work in the polls. But someone running for precinct committee person or someone running for delegate could work in the polls, because those are party positions, and this election is basically for the parties. That being said, I could see why it would be concerning, and Henry County did this. I'm aware that Henry County did this exact same thing. They did this like a week or two before you did. And the thing is, Henry County is a small county. Okay? They legitimately have problems finding people to work. Madison County is not a small community, and from what I'm hearing, there are plenty of people willing to work, right?
There are plenty of people willing to work, but he's giving them every excuse as to why they don't qualify, why he doesn't need them. He needs somebody experienced. I mean, he's got 1,000 different excuses. And, I think I picked up on the first excuse when I was at the library, and we were talking about precinct committeemen's last week or so, about 10 days ago. And he said, now I'll give you a phone number, but that's the same phone number that all my rental properties go to. And it'll always be an answering machine. And that, so you'll just have to wait till I call you back. And then it's, well, I didn't get your message. Did you call me? It got lost in translation. And so I was a bit upset about that. And I sent you that on Facebook, because I can't, and here's what the problem is. I can't see Russ Willis's Republican page. Okay. I've been blocked.
You're blocked.
So if he's advertising on that page for people to work the polls, how many people is he leaving out? Because you are only allowed to be in there on his page if you kiss the ring.
Yeah.
I can tell you what to do with that ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the whole problem is, so people are starting to see this. Well, they're starting to screenshot this stuff and send it to me. And so I made a post.
Well, back up. You turned me on to someone. I'm not going to mention any names or whatever, but you turned me on to someone. I'm going to be very discreet in what I'm saying here. You turned me on to someone last week or the week before who I actually called at like 1:00 in the morning. And this person said, I've always worked before. I want to work. I'm getting the impression, and I'm kind of being careful with how I say this. I'm getting the impression that maybe I'm not going to be able to work. And, I don't
about
understand
a half a dozen people call me that are starting to worry that they use these checks for other reasons. I didn't know how people, and I feel terrible that they wouldn't get their time in these polls.
I know a lot of retirees.
Yeah.
Counting on that little bit of extra money working
Yes.
the polls.
Sure.
I mean, it's not a huge amount, but that's
It's heartbreaking to listen to these people.
You're right.
It's important to them to be able to work the polls. That's twice a year, most years, that they can draw a paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, it's heart-wrenching to listen to these people, and they say, I'm scared to say anything for retaliation. We shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
By any means.
If they want to talk about being dirty, if they want to talk about, nasty and whatever, for someone to be afraid of like saying, hey, I feel like you're taking this away from me and I would like to work, or, I'd like to question this, and them not feeling like they can, that's dirty. That's nasty. That is what's dirty politics.
And it's manipulating. I mean, it's
very,
and the thing is people are yelling at me because I'm coming on your show and I'm saying my opponent's name. Yeah, don't do that. First thing in politics, don't ever do it. We're even going to put his sign up here on the thing. I'm not afraid. But this is how deceitful this family. I'm going to put family. This is how deceitful this family is, because without knowing the first name of them running, you can't go research them. You can't go look any of this up. And I just
because aren't there two culps running?
There are now two culps running, yes. And you know, unless you know their names, you can't look anything up. I mean,
you don't know who's who, which one's which, what's going on.
And there's a lot of people who weren't aware that Jennifer Culp, the elected city councilwoman right now, that she had this financial history.
Yeah.
They feel duped. There's a lot of people feeling duped.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. If this county moves to vote for somebody like him, you've spoken.
Yeah.
The elections have consequences. And sometimes
that's absolutely true.
You know, he wants to say, he was on the radio and he said that he is the most qualified candidate between the both of us. He has more experience than the both of us. Okay, well, I got to ask you, is that in filling out foreclosures and bankruptcies? Because I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Katherine, can you count to 10 and can you multiply by nines and things?
Yeah, you know, you do the 9 thing here, you know, right? Like 9 divided 45. Yeah, I mean, come on, I can use my hands. Hey, I can even use an abacus.
Ah, God. So
So show him the thing that Russ put up for. It's in the Facebook with you and Kate. You know, Russ puts this up. Like, call him. Well, that number is pretty much a dead number.
Well, where is it at?
It's in the group chat on Messenger with you and Kate.
Okay, give me 1 second. Oh yeah, okay, I got it here.
I want people to know that you can work the polls. I want people to tell me that you've been turned away, because I'm going to almost all the polls, plus my spotters. And
listen to me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, every time I find out that he's got his precinct people in there and he turned away candidates or people who weren't candidates, yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, he might get away with it. He might have his own rules, but it's not right.
Election workers, paid positions, call this number 765-643-4871. Leave contact information, because he's not going to answer it. So
call that number right now, Kristopher.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. This is like a test. What's this number? 634-871.
Maybe Alva can call and be a poll worker.
The party you're trying to reach does not accept calls from numbers with caller ID blocked. Please
see
number by dialing *82 and try your call again.
What?
See?
I couldn't quite hear it. What was it saying, Kristopher?
They don't take it from block calls.
So I blocked my number, first of all, and I blocked it, and it wouldn't take it. And so let me try it this way.
And this is why I'm running, because I'm tired of the little people being stomped on. I'm tired of people being afraid that they're going to lose their job. I'm tired of that.
So, yeah, listen, I started working inside everybody out there watching, do you know what we're talking about? Working the election, working the polls. You know, when you go to vote and you walk in the area and do all of that. So when does equal opportunity come into play when you want to be a poll worker? Yeah, right. What are they turning away? Maybe someone that's in a wheelchair? Are they turning away someone of color? Are they turning away someone because of their, sexual orientation?
Do you know there's a gentleman who's been working the polls for many years, and he is retired from the airlines, like aviation. He worked on all the
Mhm.
computers and stuff. And because he spoke out because things weren't being run correctly in 2023, when he called this year, they said, "We're going to go in a different direction. Your services aren't needed." Now, you guys are saying you're making resolutions because you don't have enough poll workers.
Yeah.
And now
But-
you're telling me you're turning, and then you say you want experienced poll workers.
Yeah. But
And
you're
now you're
turning
turning
away
people
people.
away?
Yeah. Turning away people. So back when I ran it, and I think it's the same. You have poll book holders. That's generally the first people that you come up to. And used to, they had a big book that they flipped through, and you would give them your ID, you'd say your name, and they'd go down and they'd find your name, and they would look and whatever. Now there are people in there, and they've got tablets in front of them, and you give them your ID, and it does all that. Then from there, they take you over, and the next position that you come up to is the sheriff. You have a sheriff in there, and the sheriff takes you to the machine, and the sheriff sticks you either would stick your ballot in or enters your thing on the machine for you to vote, and they tell you, like, here's what you do. This, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And then what happens is, if you have a question, that sheriff, if he is a Republican, he will get a Democrat who's also there. There's a Republican and a Democrat of each person in there. So you have a Republican poll book holder and you have a Democrat poll book holder. You have a Republican sheriff and you have a Democrat sheriff. And so both of the sheriffs go up. So you make sure you don't have someone giving information more than they
That's
should.
not what's happening here. I'm getting calls that people they didn't know what to do. They were at the polls and they said, "Oh, and these are some people that you might want to vote for if you're not sure who to vote for."
Say that one more time.
So they're saying, here's how you use your ballot, and these are some people you might want to vote for if you're not sure who to vote for. I mean, they're not asking you to vote for. How is this stuff even right? But see,
That
these
is
are
not.
elderly people they're saying it to, and so I cannot even keep up with my messenger right now because I'm getting so many complaints on what's going on in these polls.
Yeah, that is not okay. That is not good. That is not okay.
This is electioneering in the polls.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. So then from the sheriff there, then you have what's called then you have the judge, all right? And you only have one judge, and the judge is the opposite candidate, the opposite party of whatever the inspector is. And then no, excuse me. I am wrong. You have two judges, also Republican and Democrat, but then you have one inspector in the precinct. And the inspector is the same party that the clerk is. So then at the end of the night, when you transport all of those votes and the ballot information back to the county building, the people that transport it is that inspector, and then the opposite party judge goes with him, and that's what happens. And you go, and that makes sure you have a Republican and a Democrat there of all times. And I worked this from the time that I was 18 on for several years until I started working for campaigns and yada yada yada. But I've held every position in the voting booth. I always attended the trainings, and I have a call in on that question. I have a
Who can attend the training?
well, so I have a call in. I have not. I hopefully he will call me back tomorrow, and I will make this. Be able to make this announcement. It's my belief that the training is open to the public. I have not heard that the training is not open.
Well, here's the thing. The other thing is in 2023, they were pulling these ballots. I've never worked inside the polls, so you're going to have to help me through this.
Saying, okay.
They were pulling off tickets and somehow pre-signing tickets, and they would have like 60 in advance. And then people wouldn't show up to vote. And only one person would put those tickets in the briefcase and we're taking them back to the elections office. And nobody could account for them.
Now say that again, what they were doing. They're signing what?
Okay, so they're having pre-made up tickets for people to come in.
Okay.
And then
Pre-made up tickets.
Say that we made up 60 pre-made tickets. Well, only 20 people showed up, so I got 40 left over, and I can't destroy them, right? So whoever the person who takes the material back to the elections office was taking those blank ballots that were already made up.
Okay.
But then nobody would ever see them the next day, and they'd have to start over and make new tickets again. Nobody knows if they were destroyed. Nobody knows what they've done with them, and nobody seems to want to have a discussion about this. The person complained. She's no longer welcomed at the polls to work.
See, and this is a major, major problem. You are supposed to have questions and be able to ask. And let me be clear. Who you're asking on election day is the clerk. It should not, this is not a Russ thing. To hell with Russ. He should not have anything to do with this. The clerk should be manning the phone. The election board members should be there. Russ should be there. Quite honestly, Russ should have an appointed member in there. It should not be Russ. Because he is a candidate, you know. So it's all kinds of weirdness, but
well, just like in 2020, when we were running and it was in the general, Russ went over to Pendleton while they were working, and Russ said, "We've got 2 out. We just need the other 2 to go." And everybody knows who he's talking about because like everybody knows, Russ doesn't care for me. But the people that were inside the polls hadn't voted yet. Right? The workers. Well, that's not, this is stuff that's just got to stop. And people are asking me, and I don't know what the answer to this. They're asking me, are we allowed to take our phones in and have it on record? Are we allowed to take pictures? I don't know.
Yes. You can, I take a picture. I take pictures of everything. I can show you. I take pictures every time I've ever voted.
Okay.
I take a picture of my ballot, my machine, take a picture of each one of my votes, take a picture when it says hit send. I take a picture that I've done that.
I had a person call me today and they don't have their absentee ballot and they sent it in on the 26th.
What do you mean they don't have their absentee ballot and they sent it in on the 26th?
They sent the form in on the 26th and haven't gotten an absentee ballot. They
wouldn't have it. That it's too early to have it. They sent because voter registration, early voting just started Tuesday.
Right. They've been sending us absentee lists.
Oh, okay, Chris, that's what they're doing. I get it. So they're putting the initials on the backs of the ballots. That's what they're doing. I get it. I get what she's talking about now. I didn't know that's what she's talking about.
People are bringing me stuff. I'm just trying to get it back to people where we can get answers to. I don't know every last thing that's going on in these
Putting
polls.
Initials on the paper ballots, those not used should be spoiled ballots and accounted for on an inspector sheet. Yes, ma'am. Those should not be unaccounted for. And matter of fact, let's be honest. When Pretty much. I mean, I guess there's some people that haven't. Like I had another job. I didn't do fast food when I was young. I worked at my father's business. I worked at Subway for like exactly 3 months because I was in a big Subway kick and I liked getting the free food there. So I would work at my dad's shop, and then I liked that I was making extra money because I was working 2 jobs. But then one day they got shitty with me and I was like, I don't need to be here. Make your own damn bread. And I walked out. But I worked at the Subway on McGalliard when I worked at Muncie St. Awning when I was in like college at the beginning of college. Anyways, so I, everybody knows that like you don't go in if you work at Wendy's and Wendy's closes at midnight, you don't go and make a bunch of hamburgers at 11:45. It's just common sense. You don't do that. So when it's like noon and you're at the ballot, if you want to fill out 10 or 15 or 20 of those things because you know you're going to get that many votes come in the next 6 hours, okay, go ahead and do that. But as you start getting closer to the time that the poll closes, you should stop filling out so many of those. Like, they should never work so far ahead. No one should ever go in and pre-initial 500 of those, because chances are you're not going to get 500 voters come through. Go in and first thing in the morning, pre-print out 20 and start with there. And then when you get down to like 10, do another 10. But as you get to 4 o'clock, maybe only pre-fill out 5. As you get to 5 o'clock, only pre-print out 2 or 3. You shouldn't be pre-printing out, 20 of these and having 20 over and then them being unaccounted for. I wasn't understanding because I didn't even think about that happening because of the fact that it's not the old ballot that we used to have. But I guess that is right. Still, that does happen. Thank you, Chris, for that input, because that now I know what she's talking about.
And Devin lost by three votes.
Dude, yeah.
We did a recount. We found one, and I think maybe it came down to 2 in the end, but we did find one, and then one got tossed. And so, but how do we know what is truly going on in these polls? I have no idea. I've never seen anything like this, and here's the thing. I put that on my thing. If we lose power for the 3rd time in a row, they better put a generator on these things this time. Because if we lose power again, I'm telling you, it'll be their 3rd strike. So I don't know and I told the girl to call the elections office, ask why she hasn't gotten her ballot yet, right? Because she mailed it on the 26th.
I don't know what she mailed in on the 26th, but they would not have processed it.
Requesting the absentee ballot.
Okay, well, when you get a chance to tell her, they would not have processed it until at least the 9th. Because early voting didn't, like are you saying the 26th of March?
Yeah, we've been getting emails on absentees for a while.
Well, I mean, maybe you can turn them in, but you're not going to get a ballot before April 9th, which was Tuesday. So, like, for example, I'll give you 4 example. I sent in information today for 4 people for absentee ballots, 4 people that are in my family that needed absentee ballots. I sent it in today. They will get that absentee ballot sometime in the next week or week and a half. And then they will fill that in and submit it back in. I guess maybe in Madison County, they could be letting you guys submit those in early, but I wouldn't see any way that those would be processed before the 9th. They can't be.
I've been getting absentee lists since 3/25. They've been mailing out
you've
ballots
been getting
since
what?
325.
You've been getting absentee
So-
ballot lists.
Yeah, so every day I'll get all the people who requested an absentee ballot. All the
Okay.
ones that got sent out.
Yeah.
And then people are calling these people. This has been going on since March 25th.
Man, you guys are that's crazy how early you guys are doing that over there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. They're just not going to get the ballot is not going to be processed, and it couldn't be processed until the 9th. Because that's when early voting started. So maybe they just got an early start on it and just like, let's get these in. That's very good possible. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. So I would say now, so let those people know nothing's been wrong. They will now get their ballot. And I always tell people this. Number one, you can request a mail-in. So, okay. Here's the thing. 2 years ago, I interviewed the candidates in the race for Indiana Secretary of State. And I have always been somebody since I turned the age to vote. I have always been someone that pushed early voting. I listen to what I'm saying. I mean, early voting, meaning you go to the county building, you give them your ID, and you vote on the machine early. I don't mean mail-in ballot, because quite honestly, back then, mail-in ballots weren't a thing. The only way you could get a mail-in ballot was if you were like elderly or infirmed. So if you were like in a nursing home, you could get a mail-in ballot. If you were over 65, you could get a mail-in ballot. But like you couldn't just, Kristopher Bilbrey couldn't get a mail-in ballot. They would not give me one. They did not do that. So early voting was you walk in early and vote. And that's something I did because I always worked in the polls, and I generally worked in a poll that was not my voting area. So I would have to vote early up at the county building so I could then work in another poll, or else I wouldn't have been able to vote on election day. And so I always push this vote early, walk in and vote early. Well, when I talked to, damn, I forgot his name, Jeff Maurer, the Libertarian candidate running for Indiana Secretary of State. You can find that interview at Perception is Reality. It's still out there. You can listen to it. It was a great interview. He gave me a very, and I'm going to say this out there for the people that do not like Trump, he gave me a very non-Donald Trump answer for why, if you want to ensure that everything is good and the best thing is right with your vote, the best thing you should do is vote on election day. If you're of good health, if you're going to be out and around in your county, everything's normal, all's well, you should vote on election day. Then, if that's not an option, or you don't want that, or you can't, the next best thing you should do is walk in person and vote in the clerk's office on a polling machine in early voting that way. And then from there, if you can't do that, then do the mail-in. And he didn't go into, conspiracy theories and all this. He gave a very detailed, valid reason for why you should do this. And I was like, okay, that sounds right to me. And so I push people voting on election day, because that's the way that we did it for years and years and years. It went well. Everything worked fine. We used to be able to vote on election day and have the totals that night, and everything worked well. Only, sometimes the more technological crap you add, the harder shit gets. It's like you just keep adding more things and making it harder and harder and harder. Well, you think too much about it, and shit becomes crazy. I will tell people to vote however they can vote, but I will say if you can vote on election day, do that. But if for some reason you can't, vote however you have to vote.
Now, remember, we had all that madness in 2020
Absolutely.
where
Absolutely.
we had long lines like out the wazoo.
Yep.
But now we have open access. You can go anywhere and vote in Madison County. You don't have to be in your precinct or your area or your assigned area. So meaning if you live down in Ingalls, all the way down by Fortville, you can go and cast your vote in Alexandria. You can go and cast your vote in Elwood. You can go anywhere now. They have open access, which is nice, but I don't know if it's a great idea, but
if what is
that they can go anywhere, because it's almost, how do you know that? I don't know. There's just something screwy over here in Madison County.
Well, I will tell you when I was not for the very first time I heard of polling vote centers was when I still lived in Randolph County. And basically I lived inside Winchester and I worked in Muncie, or for a while I worked in Richmond. And on election days when I would vote, I would have to do something crazy and vote and then like get to work or whatever. And so generally I would take election day off and whatever. But when I was against vote centers and I went and I argued against it with the meetings and they came through, and the first time they had them that May, I got up in Winchester and I drove through and I stopped in Parker and I went in, I gave them my driver's license, I gave them my thing, I walked over to a voting machine, they pulled up my precinct and it gave me my ballot and I voted and I drove and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So I didn't have to vote in Winchester. I was able to drive to the furthest edge of the county and vote. And then the next election, I wanted to try it a different way. So I actually drove out to Union City and I voted, and it worked the same way. And I became a fan of them there. And I've been pushing for Delaware County to get them, but I'm okay either way. I think it gives people better opportunity to vote if you can vote at any place, but you got to feel safe in the fact that the people. Listen, when I talk about issues with voter integrity and the election safety and the election security, I'm not talking about some massive cabal on a national level that's doing this, because first of all, our elections are not nationalized. The elections are different from county to county. You guys run a different system than we run over here. Period. The system's different. So it's not like people could get in and screw up Madison County and Delaware County. You'd have to get into Madison County. You'd have to get into Delaware County separately. It's not a national cabal. It is, if there are issues with the elections, it is at the county level. It's at the county level, bottom line. And I will tell you, I have questioned for years, the vote process in Winchester and Randolph County. And I'm going to tell you why. And I don't know, because this is kind of convoluted. And so I don't know if it makes the same sense to me now. And I'd have to go back and find it. It's in one of these file boxes back here, but we went through this. So when I ran for city council in Winchester in 2015, let's say for the sake of argument, there was a total of 868 people who voted in the election. 868 people. In my race, our votes came out to 805. All right. So if that means total, there were 868 voters, and in my race, 805 people voted. There were 63 people who did not vote. Well, of that 805, I had 205 votes, and my opponent had the others. Okay. So that's 805 minus 200, 200 plus 200 minus 205. I had 205. Let's see here. 805 minus 205. She had 600. I had 205. The mayor's race also had the exact same numbers. It had 805. So the mayor's race and my race both had 805 people vote. But my wife at the time did not vote in the mayor's race. So what that would have had to have meant is then there was someone who went in and voted in the mayor's race that did not vote in my race. Get it? Because I was an at-large race, so it wasn't a district race. And I just thought I also knew other people, like my wife's brother, who also went in and voted solely in my race, but did not vote in the mayor's race. So there you've got two people. So our numbers should not have matched unless there's another person, and the chances of having two people do that is good. They're down the list of every number you went, it magically all equaled the same number. And I just thought that was too convenient. Here's the problem. The very next year that this occurred, the same numbers were used. And I'm like, what's the possible? Like, I wasn't in this anymore. It was other people. Niles, that was when Niles ran the first time. And I'm like, wait a minute. What? How are these same numbers always used? And it always comes down to like nice, even numbers. I just don't feel that's possible.
Something just doesn't add up.
Something does not add up. And that's not happening at the national level. That is happening at a local level. And local level is where they're worried about losing the power. That's where all the game is.
So what does the judge do?
So the role of the judge in Indiana. So are you in the Indiana voting booth? Let's pull this up here. Indiana.
I mean, do they cross-reference at the end of the day how many people came in, how many ballots they have? Do they cross-reference all that?
Yeah, you're supposed to count down all of that stuff. They're supposed to do all of that. They're supposed to. We used to call it rectifying. They would rectify the numbers, and then you would lock everything up and drive it to the county, and then you would hand it off to the county, and then they would do it. And then at that point, they would tell you you could leave. But if the numbers didn't match, if the numbers didn't add up, you were not supposed to leave the poll. And that's why sometimes it takes a long time to get polls in, because the numbers aren't adding up. And so they're not supposed to leave the poll. Sometimes after like hours of doing it, they'll tell everybody, fine, load everything up and come back to the county building. And then they do it there for a very long time. And then they'll normally find, oh, well, we have 7 spoiled ballots that we didn't account for, or we have a provisional ballot here. So,
and then how many times do people generally lose power?
Listen, I have never worked an election day in Delaware County ever. And I don't think in any of my time in Winchester where power was lost, but you hear it all of the time in other areas. I hear it in Madison County. You hear it happen in Michigan all the time. You hear it happens in like LA. They lost power and they weren't voting for hours and it was a madhouse and people were rioting. I've never had that happen in Delaware County, Randolph County. In the 2 counties I've lived, like, look, could there a thunderstorm come through and you lose power? Sure. But for the fact that this happens every year, every May and every November, and that just doesn't add up either.
So what's the inspector do?
So the inspector is the chief, is basically The inspector is the head of the precinct or the poll center or the vote center. They're the chief person. Basically you like for right now, basically what happens, because we have a Republican Secretary of State, the inspectors are all wait a minute. I don't know if it's by the Secretary of State or if it's by the clerk's office. It might be the clerk's office. So basically, it's either the Secretary of State or the clerk. But basically, if the clerk is a Republican, all of the inspectors are Democrat. If the clerk is Democrat, all of the inspectors are Republican. Or it might be the Secretary of State. I don't know which one.
And then you have the judges. So you have 3 people in there.
Well, then you have those, and then you have the workers. So basically, let's read it down this way. So you'll have one inspector per vote center. The inspector is the manager of the vote center. The inspector is responsible for picking up and returning the election supplies with one or the other person. Final vote center setup, directing voters in completing forms and handling voter challenges. The inspector may delegate tasks and adjust the roles of other workers as necessary and appropriate. The inspectors should be resourceful and well organized, making sure that the essential tasks are being completed and able to recognize when and willing to reach out to appropriate parties when questions arise. As the head of the vote center and the election board, as the head of the vote center, the inspector must arrive by 5 a.m. and remain on site all day. And then basically, they are like before the polls open, they attend training mandatory before every election, pick up the election supplies, contact other vote center workers before election day to confirm the 5 a.m. arrival, arrive at the vote center and confirm that it's open for all vote center workers, collect and store pre-election machine reports, verifying that the machines have no votes and reports read 0. So they have to do that with the judges, the 2 judges, Republican and Democrat. Attempt to contact and resolve any absences. If it's unresolved, they must report that, document tardiness or other job-related concerns, post all required signage providing in supply bag that they've picked up before the election day. They're supposed to swear in all vote center workers and be sworn in using the provided oath by the judge of the other party. Ensure the vote center workers complete pay sheet, complete verify equipment setup, conferring with the vote center tech if needed, assign and delegate tasks to vote center workers as necessary and appropriate, arrange inspector table so forms are ready and available. When the poll is open, publicly declare the opening of the polls. Hear ye, hear ye, the 2024 primary election is now open at poll site 48. 6 a.m. and then closing at 6 p.m. Document number of voters in line and record appropriate form at the set times. Resolve voter inquiries, providing and directing regarding any necessary documentation in the event of name, address changes, or other situations as presented. And then after the polls close, they must work with the vote center tech to collect the machines, reports, and electronic record. Ensure location is packed up before dismissing the other vote centers. Organize all election forms to correct envelopes, and make sure that a judge from the opposite party goes to the county building and return the election material with them. And they're supposed to go in the same vehicle, and no one is supposed to be alone with that box by themselves. And so that's the job of the inspector. Okay.
So let me ask you this. If I'm an elected official,
Yep.
can I work inside the polls?
If you are an elected official, meaning like, so if you're the sheriff, if you're the elected sheriff of the county, can you be a judge that day?
Yeah. Or an inspector or anything. Because that last year when I went into the polls in 2023, Rob Steele was working inside LaPelle's County polls. And I
As
didn't think
long as they
anything
are
of
not,
it.
as long as they are not up for election, yes. Yeah, as long as they are not up for election.
Now, see, I don't know that I agree with that because we're
There would-
factioned here.
Because of what?
Because we're factioned here, that he could be, you know.
There are factions everywhere. I mean, that's politics. I get what you're saying. You shouldn't be able to. I agree. That shouldn't be able to. That shouldn't be a thing. That shouldn't be a thing. That just shouldn't be a thing. It's not a judge in the same way that we're talking about, Jack. It's not an attorney. It's just a job title at the election poll. It's not like an actual judge. While we've got this, do you want me to go down the job restriction,
Yeah.
the job for a judge?
The other thing is there an age requirement for that?
18.
So you have to be 18. So a lot of the kids who've been coming to my practice, I'm like, hey, you guys can get an excused day. Work the polls.
Absolutely.
So they all didn't know that. So they're going back and they're asking if they can have the day off and work the polls.
Yeah. In Delaware County, we specifically have a process where they reach out to the schools and they ask the kids that are having a GPA of like a 3.5 or higher and are doing well and have no problems. They ask them if they want to come participate. And it's a big whole thing. I worked every election, period. So that's a big thing. Okay. So for judges, there's supposed to be one Democrat and one Republican judge. They are the assistants to the inspector. Judges can scan voters into the ballot marking machine, and work together in bipartisan fashion to offer assistance to the voters, including those with disabilities, as requested. The Republican judge, the opposite party to the inspector, shall accompany the Democrat inspector to return the election supplies if the inspector is a Democrat, or if the inspector is a Republican, then it would be the Democrat judge. So that just goes however. All right. And then as far as everything else, before the polls, they get there and they do basically the same thing. They go through and make sure everything's set up. When the poll is open, they may request photo ID, preferably suggesting keeping ready for the clerk to scan, assist voters in a bipartisan fashion when needed in feeding ballot into the tabulating machine while maintaining a distance to protect voter privacy. Bipartisan team may assist voters in answering questions with other aspects of the process, completing the pre-3 affidavit, voter assistance to polls where appropriate. Voters can be assisted, but they cannot be told who to vote for. So if a voter says, hey, it says select 3, but I don't understand, what does this mean? As a judge with my other judge, if you were the Democrat judge and I was the Republican judge, or since you've been called a Democrat, you can be the Republican judge, I'll be the Democrat judge. We could go up and tell that person that in this race, there are 7 Republicans running and they can vote for 1, 2, or 3 people in this race. And it's that's how they can do that. Or we can tell them to press hard on the machine or whatever. But that's all. We can't say, hey, you really should vote for such and such. You cannot do that. So that is a problem. And then at the end of the night, they assist in packing up and they, rectify all the numbers there. And then the opposite party of the inspector goes to the county building. And so that's what happens. That's the judge. Okay. The clerk's description of their job title, what they do is essentially they are also, there must be a Democrat and a Republican. So there's either 2 or there can be 4, but they always must be if there's a one Democrat, there must be one Republican. All right. And they are primarily concerned with record keeping and ballot control. The clerks may check the voter photo ID, pull up the voter in the electronic poll book, and collect any necessary voter information and signature, initial ballots, and sync the poll books. That's basically what they do. And that's then assist in any way that they are asked. Their job is pretty simple. And then from there, there is a sheriff, the quote unquote sheriff of the election, and basically the sheriff. I was right. There's only one sheriff, and the sheriff is the opposite of the inspector. And there you are responsible for primarily maintaining order at the vote center. The sheriff ensures campaigning and electioneering is not occurring within the vote center, nor the defined 50-foot chute. Okay. As well as checking that materials are not being left in the vote center. Sheriff may appoint out voter notices and may be tasked with various duties supportive of the efficient voter flow, including advising voters to have photo ID ready. They may request photo ID, preferably suggesting to keep it ready for the clerk to scan, periodically check to make sure there are no political materials left in the voting area, remind other workers if necessary regarding minimum non-election use of personal electronic devices, verify credentials of anyone requesting access to the vote center who is not an eligible voter, direct non-credentialed parties to the county election board, request law enforcement assistance in the event of necessary. If there's an incident, stand behind the last voter in line after the closing of the polls are declared, informing any subsequent person to arrive that there are no additional voting from this point. So that's the job of the folks that work there. And if you get any of these people that are acting out and doing something different than that, you need to call someone immediately. I would say,
and video record it.
Yeah. There's nothing. Indiana's a one-party consent state. You can pull out your audio recorder. You can pull out your cell phone and video record. Do whatever you want. Pick up the phone and give me a call. Call Katherine. Absolutely.
So, I mean, hopefully that we've talked about this, because what we've found is they're all watching. They're watching the town halls. They're watching your show. So hopefully what they need to understand is we are all now awake.
Absolutely.
And we are all watching. And so that's my biggest point of tonight, is hammering home. And, you know, just looking at the difference between a clean campaign and a truthful campaign. I don't know what else people want from me except for the truth. That's all I can do for everybody.
You are doing just fine. You are running a great campaign. There is you keep on doing what you're doing. And you know, there's nothing more there's nothing more that I think that you need to be doing. I'm sure Russ thinks you need to, you know, get a short rope and find a tall tree, but you know, I think you're doing a fantastic job. And I think the people of your county need to pay attention. I don't know if you're going to win or lose. I sure hope to hell you're going to win. I feel like you should win. I spent a little bit of time with Todd Culp and know him. He seems like a decent person. He kind of seems like a doty-do, like, you know, maybe
he's all right. He's always been nice and cordial to me, you know, but is he strong enough to run your books?
Yeah.
Is he strong enough to call them out on misappropriations? Is he strong enough to say, no, you're spending way too much? I mean, look at this jail. It's $110.5 million jail. I was sitting with Fred Reese last night, and I said, Fred, this is like the Field of Dreams. if you build it, they will come. He said, no, if you build it, they will fill it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's like Delaware County. They said, hey, we want to make there not be any confusion between the pipeline leading straight from school to prisons. We're just going to start turning our schools into jails.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. According to the numbers after last night, after listening to the town hall meeting, we have enough prisoners right now that we will be at capacity when they open it. And that's without building out the other half of the jail. This is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just don't know how else to get out the word and make sure that people are informed. I mean, you know, I hope I win. I don't know if I'm going to win. And I will tell every viewer on here, if I did nothing else, I educated the people. And that's the best I could do.
Yeah.
You know, I hope I win. I do. But on that same token, if I don't, I promise you this, you will see 4% on your taxes. They will go to the max. That is the max that the state can do. I guarantee you that's going to happen. Because
and
people,
if you don't elect Devin, if you don't elect Lisa, you're Madison County.
Grabowski, yeah, if you don't get these people in their seats, this is going to be a complete disaster, and the county will go bankrupt. And the other big thing that I want people to understand is rainy day funds don't usually sit at 25 million. Okay, they just don't.
It's been a damn rainy day.
Yeah. And what this tells me is they raised your local income taxes 2 years ago. They've kicked the can down the road as far as building the jail because they wanted to use this as, look at what we've done for the county. Look at what we've raised for the county. I got news for you. That money is spent. When they break ground on this jail, they're going to be using every bit of that. And guess who's actually going to be the bad guy here? It's going to be me. Because if I win this seat, and I deplete that whole 25 million, it's not because Katherine depleted, it's because you guys let Rich Wine stay in his seat with Gardner, and these guys can't balance their own personal checkbooks, and they're going to just spend that 25 million down as much as possible. I mean, if anybody was paying attention to the county council meeting Tuesday night, I think parks are great. I think parks are lovely. I think, you know, we all should have them. It's a wonderful thing. So Jessica gets up there and she's the engineer and she's like, oh, we've got these great trails and we're going to do all these great things. And again, I'm not knocking any of that. And then somebody says, well, how much is this going to cost us? Well, I don't know. We haven't gone that far. Well, how much ARPA money have you gotten? And she's in charge of all the ARPA money. I don't know how much ARPA money we got. I don't have that at my fingertips. I'd have to look that up. You're coming to present tonight. You're the engineer. You oversee the ARPA stuff. What is going on in this county? I mean, you know, and I'm going to tell you, everybody sitting on that county council, I don't care who you are, the fact that you take these answers and you're okay with it, no, you're the fiscal body. You should say, well, guess what? Not going to hear your stuff anymore today. I mean, we're not even going to vote on anything today, and we're glad you brought this in here, but we expect you to come next month and have all these questions answered. Here's what's even worse. And I am frustrated with the county council. And if this loses me votes tonight, you weren't going to vote for me in the first place. They are passing stuff on the jail. They are asking, well, this isn't finished. Well, we don't have all this information. I need more information on this. And they're like, oh, you don't need to know that part. That part's not really important. Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. That's just a holding area. Now, on top of this, I've never seen this before. We have 3 Republican commissioners. Okay. They had to get a jail kind of committee to oversee the funds.
Yeah, this
These
is so
people
weird.
just make sure things get paid. They put in 2 Democrats and a Republican. I've never seen anything like it.
It's so weird.
What else gets me is that you have 2 female commissioners. We have 129,000 people in this county. And you couldn't find one female to serve on this? They all had to be As a matter of fact, where's one minority on there? I mean, I'm just sitting here, and again, I'm not a feminist. I'm not, I'm not. I'm just saying that you keep recycling the same people, and I don't understand a bit of this. Here's what floors me. In 2022, we had an election, and in 2022, Sheriff Beeman beat out the rest of his people. Right? He beat out Emery, who was Russ's pick for. Okay, beat him in the primary. And then we turned around and Beeman beat out Joey Cole for the Democrat, which was Russ's pick, right? Russ moved gears to the Democrat. Okay.
Yeah.
And if he says he didn't, Russ, you're behind Friends and Families of Madison County, and you
Yes.
you gave to Cole and you did not give to Beeman. So I don't want to hear it. Okay, stop. So with that being said, your people are voting these people out. And what does Rich Wine do? He thumbs his nose at you and he puts the people you vote out into these seats.
Yeah.
Okay. Jerry Alexander got voted out in 2022. What did he do? Well, he put him on planning. Now, we're not sure where Jerry's been the last couple of meetings.
God.
He hasn't been where he's supposed to be. And I don't know if Jerry gets paid for that, but I don't
No.
understand why you are recycling people. And just like last night, Beeman said, he's been in charge to pick out the colors, the tile,
God.
the curtains, or whatever, right?
Who has been?
Beeman.
Okay.
But he hasn't been included on building the jail. Now, they haven't had a jail meeting since Mellinger left office in December of 22. And I'm going to tell you something. Probably no one in this county has been in more jails than Sheriff Beeman. He's a retired U.S. Marshal.
Yeah.
Why haven't they met? Because Rich Wine is calling all the shots. It's the same thing with Rich Wine buying the beer cooler. And here's my big problem with this. These are constitutional offices.
Right.
I don't really think he has jurisdiction in these offices. Or, he's not the elected official. The people did not elect Sheriff Rich Wine. They didn't elect Coroner Rich Wine. And so somebody made the comment last night, well, you see, the commissioners own the buildings and we rent those buildings. Okay, well, they do, but it doesn't mean he gets to build and design what they're supposed to be, So this is why it's so important for everybody to get out and vote for this primary. I don't know what kind of turnout we're going to have, and and I don't understand this. I was talking to somebody tonight. How come we don't have 2 Republicans running for president? How come we don't have 2 Democrats running for president? Because if we did, we'd have a lot better turnout in primaries.
They don't do that. They don't do that shit anymore. Gone are the days. First of all, Indiana has never, ever, except in 2016, ever mattered in the primary election because everybody else's primaries and everything is done so early that by the time it gets to May, they already know who the nominees are going to be, essentially. So only in 2016 did the Indiana primary really count as far as the presidential election, the national election went. As far as everything else, like it really doesn't matter, as far as that goes. And so it's ridiculous that it's like that. It should be the same way. I always say there should be 4 or 5 candidates for each office on each side running straight down. That way we get the opportunity. I'm not saying we're going to always pick it, but we have the opportunity to pick the best candidate out of a plethora of candidates.
And it's like we've been thrusted with, these are your 2 president choices. We're not going to give you an option to pick the 2 choices for the general. We're just going to give them to you. Well, I don't think that that's fair. But then I'm not anybody but just Catherine. I mean, I sent you Culp's sign.
Yeah.
Show them this is why it's so misleading. And this is what I hate for the people. I have no idea what he's running for. I have no idea what his first name is. And I'm going to tell you something. If you can't pay your vendors, if you can't pay your bills, and you can go, there must be, I don't know how many billboards he's got here. These billboards I know are at least $600 a month. Now,
Sure.
this one, depending on location, they're a little more expensive. So you
Yeah.
mean to tell me you can run an election like this, but you can't pay people, you're foreclosed on? I mean, think about these companies who he owes money to. I mean, what happens if they go bankrupt because there's 50 people who don't pay their bills just like him? Where is the respect of your money? You know, if he made one mistake and he filed one bankruptcy, hey, great, learn from it, move on. We all make mistakes. We've all been there. I'm not really upset with that, but it's the fact of, if you look up his thing, it goes over and over and over and over. And here's the thing: if you look closely, he gets information that says you have to turn in all this information before this due date, or we're going to throw out this bankruptcy thing because we keep asking you to turn it in. I mean, come on. You know, and here's the thing: anytime he would like to come on here, he would like to debate and justify any of this. Absolutely, come on, I'm all about it. I have no problem with that. You know, I mean, I don't, but you don't hear him at any town hall meetings.
Yeah.
When he did speak on the radio, it's the wrong budget was never submitted. It's that the people just didn't understand. They're just clueless. And so this is the type of stuff is, how do you ever get this information out to the people? You know, and I'm going to tell you something. If you people vote for Rick Gardner, I'm disgusted with that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, these people can't do one thing. They can't get one billboard. They can't do one post to find Steve Sumner. But they're all out here showing you what trophy they've won. The only trophy these people should be winning is the "Where is Waldo?" because nobody can find him. Right? So if you're going to run for election and you guys know how to communicate and get all this stuff out there, maybe you guys should start thinking about finding Steve Sumner's so that he doesn't go after the next victim.
We found Louis Galligan in England.
That's what
And
I'm
they
saying.
can't find Steve Sumner in America?
And you people are saying that you're offended because I called you the cartel. Well, this is what the cartel does. They help people disappear.
All right, wait a minute. Let's before we leave, who's offended that you call them the cartel?
Oh, the Likens and the Richwines and Gardner and Cole. They just can't believe I would say such nasty, dirty things. Well, your actions are showing me that you're the cartel.
Wait a minute. So who told you beforehand that you were running a dirty campaign?
Oh, that was all today. I'm not running a clean campaign. That was on Facebook all day today.
Who? Someone's writing that? They're sending that, or what? Are they sending it
Oh
to
yeah,
you?
it's on. Yeah, everybody's been arguing with these people on Madison County so much for me running a clean campaign. I'm like, well, I don't know what kind of campaign I mean, here's the thing. I'm just airing the laundry. And it's not even dirty laundry. You know why it's not dirty laundry? Because it happened.
Yeah.
Actions have consequences.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, and so I don't, all day today about how awful Katherine is, because all Katherine does is sling mud.
Because they don't like that you tell the truth. They don't like that the truth is being told.
No, I mean, this is the craziest stuff I've ever seen. When I'm just speechless when I'm reading this stuff. Let's see. Okay, it started with 3 comments. Okay, and so I posted it and I said, I don't know, maybe you should go and ask retired Sheriff Scott Mellinger. He is promoting all his sign placements in Pendleton. You would think a retired sheriff would investigate the candidate for the people. Everyone who is listening to Mellinger support this candidate needs to go. And look people up. There's a reason they are not putting their first names on the signs. And for those of you who think I'm not telling the truth, this was sent to me. Zoom in on the yard sign. Now, it's Sheriff Mellinger's home.
Okay.
He's a Democrat.
Yeah.
He's got Republican Culp in his yard. Okay? I'm got a newsflash for all of you. You continue to make me stand in front of that podium and tell you my address. What is my safety? So I don't really give two shits about yours. Because that's exactly what you do every single day. So if you don't like it, why don't you knock it off? This is fair play.
Who doesn't like it? Who doesn't like it?
Oh, so then we go on. And,
these people are elected officials. Their address is public document. If they go down and get the record request when they file it.
Well, exactly. So here, running a clean campaign is no longer a thing. That goes for every politician and party. I said, my campaign is completely clean. Stating facts, since your candidate wants to make name changes, states he's the most qualified candidate with the most experience, telling the truth is how it should be always be done. If you're relying on the swamp to tell you facts, well, we can all see that will never happen. Guiding people to sites where they can fact check should be something every American should want. If you can share with me how you think we could better inform the voters when the candidates will not, I am open to suggestions. And from there, this thing has gotten over 70 comments.
Where'd she go? There you go. You got so fired up, you killed the feed.
I mean, and this is the whole, so he says, your campaign looks more like a smear campaign. You can make statements, but not without posting the house of a person who doesn't even work for the county anymore. That is creepy. What you politicians fail to always see is the peoples have generally made their mind up well before an election. This seems like a shot in the dark, last-ditch effort. I would also ask you this. Who is my candidate? Tell me, since you seem to know. I think it's creepy that all of us have to stand in front of the podium and give our address.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You are all elected officials. You have my name. Go look it up.
Yeah.
I mean, your auditor got to remove all his information just in time for the election, so you people won't know if he's behind.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Madison County Accountability responded, you don't think Mellinger is still relevant to Madison County politics? His mismanagement is still costing the taxpayers of Madison County well after he has left office. Madison County settled another lawsuit this week originating from the Mellinger administration, and it posts what the case number is. Additionally, someone in that house still works for the county. As to your claim it's creepy, what's more likely? Katherine or someone working on her campaign happened to be putting out signs in that neighborhood and took the picture, or that Katherine is stalking Mellinger. We find it newsworthy a staunch Democrat is supporting so many Republicans. And let me be a newsflash to everybody. When I Facebook Live, I get to see everybody who comes on. Mellinger has perfect attendance.
Yes.
And from there, you can go to MGAP and you can read all you want. And here's what I want to thank everybody. I'm appreciative of this gentleman's comment. I'm embracing this comment.
Yeah.
Because now this post has over 70 comments, which in the algorithms just boosts my post even more. So I thank those people for coming on there. And you know what? If this guy has already chosen his candidate without having all this information, that's why we can't win in America. That's why I have no idea what's going to happen this election. I really truly do not have any idea, because there's so many people who want to say, oh, she can't be telling the truth. Go look. These are not photoshopped pictures, people. They're not. They're the real deal.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, you just have to, it's just off the chain, but I like all the comments.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm just appreciative you guys let me come on and we talk about this.
Anytime. Always. It's always a fun time. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Citizen X, you said that you got here late and you missed. As soon as this feed is over, you'll be able to go back and watch from the beginning, and I would highly recommend you do it. Catherine was a little late tonight, but not long. What time you pop on? 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
So we got to go in it pretty good. We've carried a lot of good information, and the big thing I want to tell everybody is the information that we looked up tonight, the information that we talked about concerning the poll voters, the poll workers, excuse me. If you are going to vote and you have a problem at the election site, whether it's early, if you're mailing in your ballot, if you go on election day and you've got an issue, don't just go, oh shucks, well, they got me, all right, I'm done. Do not do that. Do not do that. Give
there's
me
one big thing, Chris, people complained about in 23. So if I'm a registered Republican, which I don't think any of us are registered anything in Indiana.
No, there's not such thing as a registered anything.
People said that they were going in and saying, hey, I want the opposite. Democrats were going and saying, I want a Republican ticket and vice versa. They were telling them, no, because you voted as a Republican last time, you have to take a Republican ticket this time. That is not true.
No, they cannot force you to do that. If someone tells you that, laugh at them. Listen, this is the straight. Listen, Catherine might be the doctor, but I am the purveyor of political wisdom and the connoisseur of common sense. And I tell you, you tell them straight from Catherine or Bilbrey or wherever, laugh directly at that person and then say, that was funny. Give me the damn ballot that I just asked for. That's all you got to do.
And I'm telling you right now, in Madison County, if you look at those people and you say, I'm going to call Catherine, I bet you they'll change their tune real quick because they don't want me coming over there.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So here's the other thing that's going on. I want to just plug this real quick before we get off the air.
Yeah.
So, we have all these people running for precinct committee member. Russ is going around saying he will be putting in the vice PC.
Oh, yeah. Say that.
So we need to make sure people understand you have 30 days. That is up to the elected official to put them in there. So that's what he's trying. He's telling these elected officials that he is already deciding who they're going to use as their vice PC.
No, that does not work like that. That is not. Russ is such an idiot. Don't do that. That's stupid. That cannot happen. Don't let them fool you. Can I put your number up here? I got it in here.
Absolutely.
If you have trouble, folks, if you have any kind of trouble, all right, what you're supposed to do on election day is.
And do not Facebook Messenger me on election day. I do not have that on. If I kept that on, I wouldn't get any work done at work.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Call my cell phone number. Don't message me because I can't guarantee you I'll be on there.
On election day, call me 765-546-9796 and or call Catherine. Did I spell your name right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 317-445-5501. Call one of us, call both of us. Whatever. If you have a problem, if they're trying to turn you away, if there's an issue, if you think you're registered and they say you're not, they say you're at the wrong address or at the wrong place or whatever, at the end of the day, fight and say you want a provisional ballot and we'll fight it out. Do not just not vote. Do not do that. Let us know if you get there and you see weird shit going on.
Turn your phone
Video
off.
it, picture it, get it, capture it. If they're telling you cannot vote Republican or you cannot vote Democrat, laugh at those idiots and then call us. I'm not messing around with the election board and Linda and Russ and all that. We'll skip those tools and we'll go straight to Diego Morales. Now, I'm not a big Diego Morales fan, but I am fans of people in his office, and we'll call them. They are working on election day because it's the biggest day for their office of the year. So it's their Christmas. So call and we will get it figured out. But don't let them turn you away. And I don't mean just in Madison County. I mean Delaware County, Winchester, Newcastle, Marion County. In Indiana, screw it. I don't care. If you got a problem in Colorado, call me. I'll figure something out. You know what I mean? Like, we will do what we've got to do. But you have to understand that these people, there are races where change is going to happen, and this is these people in the death throes. Yeah, you know, for everybody that's been a hunter or whatever, anybody ever seen something die and they're like fighting to stay alive, and it's just the muscles, you know, it's the body retracting and they're kind of kicking. That's what's going on. These people realize they're trying to hang on to something that is quickly leaving their grasp, and so they're going to try everything dirty they can.
Well, and you know, as we move forward through this whole project, if you cannot get a hold of Russ and you want to work the polls, you need to call Kristopher or I. I'm fine with that, because we just found out how you can't get through on that number. We just found out how this is all just it's all a shell game. I'm so sick of this game. This is not this is what I'm frustrated with. And you people think I'm smearing people. I'm not smearing anybody. But here he puts up, if you want to be a poll worker, and then he has it restricted on who can call the phone. I am so confused by this. Now, the training is supposed to be like the 24th, 25th, or 26th. So you guys need to start getting those names in now. But if you cannot get through to that, I guess call Chris or myself. And then we're going to have to figure out why you're not getting a call from Russ. I don't know if it's part of a GOP requirement that you have to have a phone line that works. Or, you know, can be accessible. My phone, if you call it blocked, you're going to ring through.
You'll ring through.
Yeah, you're going to ring through.
You'll ring through to me. I don't care. I don't know anybody that calls me ever.
But now that he's just shown that you can't even get through on a blocked call, and some people, their phones are set as blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just automatically go through that way.
Yeah.
So,
the last thing I want to say is we don't know just yet, if you can attend, if just anybody can attend the training. My educated guess is that the trainings are open to the public and they cannot bar you from attending. Okay. So I will hopefully have the report for you guys on that tomorrow. Be looking on that. I want to show you this before we leave. Anybody that wants to take a look at what's going on, or look at folks, the Indiana Secretary of State's office. The Indiana Secretary of State's office is the chief election office of the state. So if you're having issues, you want to find something out there, go there and look up the election division. Specifically, if you go to the Indiana Secretary of State's office and you go to the election division and you pull up, there is a place where you can pull up poll worker training material. It's right there. This is the material county training PowerPoint template. Let's click on this and see what this looks like real quick before we go.
that's video below there too.
Yeah, photo.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. Photo ID card examples. Let's click on that and let's see what this looks like. I just want to show you this here real quickly. Okay. Here's an example of what the state IDs that are taken in order to be able to vote, to cast a vote in the state of Indiana. Oh, look, this is amazing. Hell, I didn't even know this stuff was here. All right, looky.
See what happens when I call you and tell you stuff?
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's absolutely. Here's one of the old Indiana cards. There's not many that's going to look like this. Okay.
Does it have to have the star on it?
No. It does not have to have a star. It does not have to have the star. My ID does not have the star. I am not getting this mark of the beast nonsense. Most of them are going to look like this. I mean, you're going to be Mark Sample, and Mark Allen Sample. And so that's that crap. You can also have one of these. Okay. You can have one of these things if you don't have your license. That's also valid for voting. Don't let them tell you it's not. That is a piece of paper that they print off at the BMV while you're waiting on your driver's license. If you lose your wallet, you go to get your new license and they give you this. Don't let them tell you can't vote. I had someone in Randolph County call me a couple years ago trying to tell me that they weren't going to let them vote. And I got in a screaming match with someone. And guess what? They got to vote. So don't let them tell you. If you are under 21, your card looks like this. Good to go. Right here. Your Indiana University student ID this ID is valid for voting purposes in Indiana. Okay, absolutely, it's great. All right, here is your Army ID, your military ID. It is also going to be valid. Everything's good there. Here's your Indiana ID card if you're a drunk driver or you just don't want to drive or whatever. There's the old-fashioned green ID card. That's valid. Your United States passport. That's valid. You can take that there, but it has to be a valid passport. All right. Here is your United States Uniformed Service card here. All right. And that is absolutely good to go. Here's your U.S. Department's Veterans Affairs card. All right. It's good to go. Here's your Wabash County. All right. Now watch. This is not valid for voting purposes in Indiana. And here's why. Display an expiration date and either be current or have expired sometime after the date of the last general election. Be issued by a state of Indiana or the U.S. government. And this is not, okay? So this would not be. So there's some things that aren't. Your library card isn't. Your a badge that you get from work that says your ID card that says you work at Taco Bell or Indiana Secretary of State's office. That's not going to be valid. An ID card, obviously, from Nebraska, your library card, what is this? What?
A gun club.
A gun club. That's not going to be valid. What is this? Winchester Skateboard Park. Freddie DeSoto. He's not going to be able to vote. Unfortunately, look at this. This is not going to work. So there's things that aren't going to work there, folks.
Let me
important.
ask you this, Chris. And yes, I know the answer. But I'm asking.
Sure,
this.
You're fine.
So I got an absentee ballot in the mail, and here it is, election day. And I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to return it.
Yeah.
Do I mail that in, or can I still vote, or what do we do?
Oh, all right. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say this earlier and I forgot. So listen to what I'm telling you. If you can vote on election day and you're fine with it, just go in and vote on election day. If there's no problem, just go do it. Make sure you do it. Don't forget it. If you're somebody that's absent-minded, if you're somebody that shit happens to, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go. And then you're just like, oh, shit, my grandma has a doctor's appointment. I got to go. We're going to be late. I'm not going to make it. Go vote early or whatever. But if you're just going to be around town and you're chill, go vote on election day. Or go vote the same way on election day early at the county building. But if either of those two options don't work, if you're infirmed, if you're in bed, if you're old, if you're elderly, all those things, or if you just want to vote by mail, vote by mail. Turn in your application to vote by mail. All right. If you don't get your mail-in ballot, if you are wanting to vote by mail and you do not get your mail-in ballot, I would say by Wednesday, the 24th of April, if you do not get a ballot by Wednesday, April 24th, you need to be calling the clerk's office. And honestly, I would say maybe the Monday, the 22nd, you need to be calling and being like, hey, I've not got my ballot. Where's it at? Because they need to be getting out to you. If you've waited that long and you've not got it, you need to go vote early, or you need to go vote on election day. Don't wait around. I've heard some people have said, and I can't confirm this, that they have waited and they've not got their ballot, and they've called up there, and people have said, they've been like, hey, I've not got my ballot, but it's election day. What should I do? And there have been some unscrupulous people that have said, that's okay. You will get it. Just go ahead and fill it out when you get it and turn it back in. That's not good. That's not okay. If you haven't voted by election day, you're going to have to go to the polls and vote. That's perfectly fine. But getting back to what she said, if you fill out and say you want a mail-in ballot and they send it to your house and you stick it above your visor and you forget it, that's the other thing. Number one, if you fill it out, do not count on the ballot getting there by mail. I would have them mailed no later than Friday the 26th. Because then that's going to give you Saturday, that's going to give you Monday and Tuesday, and really maybe even Wednesday or Thursday. Don't mail them. What I would do if I were you is I would get it and maybe take it back in person to them. That's one way you can make sure it's okay. If you take it back to the county building, that's something that you can do. So just know that. But if you hold on to it and it gets to election day and you haven't filled it out, you need to walk into a polling place, give them that absentee ballot, and say, hey, I got this, but I changed my mind. I want to vote on a machine. And they will let you vote on a machine. And if they don't, call us.
So what about this? What if I filled it out? Can I go into the voting, the polls the day of voting and say, forgot to mail this? Can they take that ballot right from your hand?
No.
Okay.
No. Just what I would do is I would just take it there. And really what I would do before I would walk in, I would tear it up so they can't even try any kind of bull crap.
Okay.
I would tear that thing in two, and I'd take it in and let them say, hey, I want to vote by machine.
Now, what happens if I got the ballot in the mail, I lost it, so I'm like, I'll just go and vote. Does the machine reject me knowing that I got an absentee ballot?
No, let them know. Just tell them that you lost your ballot.
Okay. I mean, these are all things people are coming and asking me,
sure.
and you never know what Russ is telling you. Russ said that you have to have the ballot with you in order to vote in person. You must bring that ballot with you with your driver's license in order to vote if they've mailed it to you.
I'm not even 100% sure on that, but I would take it, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure that No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure that's not even true because 2 years ago I got an absentee ballot for my stepfather. Had it mailed to his house, and then he didn't end up doing it. He went in and voted, and he never messed with it. It sat right there on the table forever. It might still be there.
But he couldn't go in and just put his driver's license in. Wouldn't.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So
He
then you
absolutely
can.
did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Then Russ is wrong. Okay.
Now, again, I was in Delaware County. We're talking about Delaware County, so who knows what the hell goes on in Madison, but yeah.
Okay.
So that's that's good. Look, folks, it's they make it convoluted purposefully.
Well,
They
there's
make
got to be a way that the system knows, okay, this person walked in and voted, and now I'm putting the absentee through. It's got to connect saying this is the same person and reject
There
one.
is. Yeah, there is.
There
But
has
as
to
long as it's not been as long as it's not been turned back in, as long as you've not cast a ballot, getting the ballot's not casting it. Turning it in or pressing the button is casting the ballot. So as long as you've not cast the ballot, you're able to vote.
Okay.
Signature not checked. Yeah. Also, here is I keep thinking about things that are important. Let me show you this. You're going to get for those of you that get a mail-in ballot, okay, if you do mail-in, all right, make sure you read through. If you have questions, call me. If you get it at home and you want to call me, do not fill it out. Do not do the Scantron with a pen. Do not do it with a pen. It's just like school. Make your mark heavy and dark, all right? And you got to stay within the circle, all right? Fill it all the way in. Don't do it half-assed. Be very careful. If you make a mistake, erase, but you need to erase all the way and do your very level best job not to make a mistake because that just muddies the water. Try not to do that. But you want to look on your envelope that you turn back in because there will be a place on the back for initials of a Republican and of the Democrat. And it must look like you must see both of them, KHB, KVC. You want to see two initials. There are people, my stepfather, a couple years before the last story I told you, I got my mother and stepfather both mail-in ballots. He had a hip replacement and they both voted from home. And my stepfather had both of his initials, but my mother did not contain one of these initials. Her turn-in ballot looked like this. It only had one of them filled in and the other was missing. And if she would have turned hers in and voted that way, her vote would not have counted. So what we had to do is I had to call up there and we had to send that back up and have it fixed before she could vote. So if you get your shit and they've sent it to you, and I've heard before they've had hundreds that they've sent out that haven't been done. So you want to get your stuff and read all the way through it and make sure that it's got both of the initials on the back. Because if you don't and you do the card and you send it in, your vote's not going to count. They will throw it out. That's it, my friends. You got anything else? You got anything else?
No, I mean, I think it gives a lot of food for thought. This is something that Madison County's never been exposed to. And that's all I want to do is give you food for thought when you're there. If it doesn't look right, it doesn't smell right, it doesn't.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, go with your gut.
Trust your gut. Trust your gut. So, I'm sure we'll see Katherine on here again. Maybe next time. Let me get back here real quick. Maybe next time she won't be late. We'll see
Hey,
what
I wear
happens.
that with pride. That's a badge of honor. It goes with Catherine and Kate's everywhere. I'm going to own it. Embrace it, people.
Absolutely.
If I was not global, I would embrace this Sweet Little Lies reel. I'd be excited.
Next time she's late, we're gonna feed her the trunk shrimp. So we'll get her some trunk shrimp if she's late again. All right, Katherine, thank you very much. I appreciate everything as always. You have done a fantastic job. You're kicking ass in Madison County, and the people over there are lucky to have you and your team and everybody else. So for all of the rest of you guys, thank you all very, very, very much. And what did they say? Free speech, motherfuckers. Is your mother on probation or parole? Mine isn't. Why?
Mine isn't either.
Are you? Yeah, I don't think so. Free speech is rock and roll. I'm good. Hey, we will be live tomorrow. We got a extra special show tomorrow. We've got some big topics that we'll be talking about. So tune in here for a very special Friday night episode 178, where we'll talk about something interesting, I am sure. What's this? Should we put this up for some reason? What's that up there? What's this? Oh, no, sorry, never mind. That's from earlier. All right, you guys take care. God bless. Have a good evening, and we will talk to you all again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. Take care. Good night. Goodbye. Oh, Catherine, I forgot to ask you a question. All right, I will next time.
Well, I can just do it now.
It'll be too long. We'll get it next time. It's nothing major. I'll talk to you about it here in a minute.